من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله عز وجل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال عز وجل: قل هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحصنون صنعا. أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, in today's khutbah it is a reminder for myself just as much as it is a reminder for all of you. It is a reminder from Surah Al-Kahf, a surah that it is sunnah upon us to read on the day of Friday. And in encompassing that sunnah is more than us just protecting ourselves from Dajjal when he comes. And may Allah protect us from him when he comes. But in the stories that are mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, there are many lessons that impact us on a day-to-day basis. There are many lessons that help us from one Friday to the next Friday. There are many lessons that indicate something about us and our own characteristics as human beings. And there's one theme in the surah, and that is a theme of delusion on reality that some people would have. If you look at the story of the young worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who they were in a society that had a delusion of the reality of the world, where they saw that those people who turned towards Allah to be estranged. They saw those people to be different and being on the wrong path. Yet there were a few people that understood the reality of the world, and they chose to be in a position of difficulty because they knew that they were working towards the reality of the world. And those young individuals, they went to the cave. And those young individuals, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cemented their legacy in the Quran. And how about everybody else that was in the society? There was nothing mentioned about them as individuals other than the fact they were deluded from the fact that what these people were following was the truth. If you look at the story of the two gardens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions somebody who is very rich, and so much so Allah describes his richness in various verses in the surah. And then he describes that the other person who is his companion, who doesn't have the same amount of money as the other person had. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes nothing of his garden. Allah just describes him as a companion to the richer person. And if you look, both of them were in a position where one of them had the delusion of this world. He didn't understand that the money that he's receiving is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the other one did understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cemented his legacy in the Quran. And at the end of the surah, Allah says, قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ. In other verses in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying the words قُلْ and hal after that, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to say, shall I? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue with the words and. And that's referring to the Prophet ﷺ is the one that's passing on the message to the people. Or Jibreel ﷺ is passing on the message to the Prophet ﷺ. But in this particular verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, shall we not tell you? And the reason this is the case is because Allah is telling us about those who have become of the losers in their actions in this world. And the Prophet ﷺ, he would tell people time after time that what you are doing in this world, when you are chasing materialistic goals, when you are chasing these materialistic things, they would turn to the Prophet ﷺ and say, this is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When those people who have money and who have the riches of this world, sometimes they feel like they're gaining these riches because Allah is showering His mercy upon them. Sometimes they feel like Allah is pleased with them because they have the materialistic goals and materialistic things in this world. So they feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showering His mercy and barakah on them. However, sometimes this materialism that they're receiving in this world is a torture and punishment for them as well. And for those people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and He is telling us, those of us that remind our brother and sister that why are you chasing this and forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is telling us that He has the same message as us. For those people that we remind and those people that remind us, they are reminding us according to the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they are those people who do deeds in this world, but they are of the worst of losers. Allah doesn't call them khasireen. Allah calls their actions akhsarul a'mal. It's the worst of actions that they are doing, and that worst of actions is them forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and chasing materialism. قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Who are those whose actions are in loss? It's those who are chasing the materialistic things in this world. The sa'i, the chase, was for the materialism in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that their chase is part of their deeds. So their chase could be that they are perceiving something that they are moving towards is them going towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the scholars of tafsir say that this chase that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to, it indicates the chase of just somebody waking up in the morning and thinking purely of the worldly things. But it is also for those who are giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or doing in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, they have a lack of sincerity. Sincerity is something that you hear constantly spoken about, but it's not something that we as human beings are constantly checking ourselves on. If somebody is doing something for an insincere reason, and they think they are doing for a sincere reason, they are in that state of delusion. If you go to the person that has all the things in this world, and is chasing the materialistic things, when you tell them to go away from those things, the person will tell you, I will lose my business. The person will tell you, I will lose my clients. I will lose my studies. I will lose my house. I will lose such and such. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, yes indeed, you will be the losers if you continue in that chase. And you forget the real chase that we are here in this world to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not place us in this world so that we are in a position that we purely chase the hereafter and not do anything for ourselves in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in various verses in the Quran that the dunya, it has la'ib, it has zina, it has play, and it has joy. But at the same time, you've got to understand that a day will come that all the things you are chasing will no longer be in your hands, that you will be in the dirt. And you need to remember what will your position be at that time. Do you want to be from those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes as the worst of losers? Those who chase the materialistic things in this world. Those who had their reasoning behind, if you were to ask them, why are you doing this? Their reasonings might be noble. They would say, I am doing this for my family. I am earning money for my family. I want to take care of this person's affairs. I want to take care of that person's affairs. That same person, when they are invited in by their manager or their boss or a client for a meeting, they will not be a second late. But when you are doing something where you need to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to come for Friday prayer, you need to pray your 5 daily prayers, you need to be in a position where you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your mind is not as connected to it, because you are in a state of delusion. You're not realizing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is giving you that meeting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is giving you the houses and the money and the glory and the children. You're forgetting the fact, and therefore you're coming to the masjid late. Therefore you're forgetting to come and study your Islam. Therefore when you're listening to somebody reading the Quran, you're just listening to their voice. You're forgetting the words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to impart to you. And when you're reading, just as I gave the example earlier, when you're reading Surah Al-Kahf on Friday, yes, you get the reward for it. Yes, inshallah, Allah will protect us from the Dajjal. But spend every Friday to learn something different from that surah. Because there are so many times that it will impact you in a different way. And you need that impact. Just as much as the khutbah is meant to be as a reminder, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set many other reminders for us as well. Because we are a forgetful being. And Allah created us as a forgetful being. And Allah gave us sources of reminders so that we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that when we go into a state of weakness, when our iman has lowered to a slight amount, We need that uplift, and when we receive that uplift, our iman is higher than it was before. And one thing about Quran and its tafsir, if you were to ask a person how Quran impacted them, majority of the people will give you a different story. Even if they're reading the same verse, if somebody's reading a certain verse in the Quran and they are, even if you look at Umar radiallahu anhu, when he heard the first verses the Prophet ﷺ was reading at Mecca, he was hearing verses where he was saying that this is a word of a poet. And then the Prophet ﷺ read, وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ, that it's not a word of a poet. And then Umar radiallahu anhu felt like this, is he reading my mind? And then he thought, okay, surely he's a magician. وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنٍ. He was listening to this. What impact is it happening on Umar radiallahu anhu at that time? If you and I read those same verses right now, would we have that same impact that Umar radiallahu anhu was having? If you look throughout Surah Al-Kahf, there are so many things for us to be impacted by. From a relationship of a father and a son, to a relationship between a slave and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to a relationship between us fearing the Day of Judgment, to us understanding the miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to us understanding our relationship with knowledge, to us understanding Musa alayhi salam, to us understanding multiple things. And in each thing there's many a lesson for each of us that we go through on a weekly basis. There are many a lesson that will impact us. It doesn't matter how many Fridays we witness in this world. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to open our hearts to something at that time, He will open our hearts to something at that time. Sometimes the impact to you is when you are in a place where you need forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you find yourself praying behind an imam where he's reciting the verses of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does that impact you at that moment in time? And the only way you'll receive that impact is when you are in a state where you are realizing you're out of the delusion that this world the world is not just a materialistic thing. And yes, we remember from time to time. Yes, when we go to a funeral, we remind ourselves to remember. But what about all the other times throughout our day? I reflect on the fact that sometimes we have that one prayer in Ramadan that we felt like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He impacted us on this day. And we feel like that Ramadan was a magical Ramadan. Or there was this one night you prayed and you made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you were in tears and you felt the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was a moment when you realized that everything you have is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. Everything you need, everything you want is only going to be accessed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now imagine the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the Tabi'een and all the scholars and the great people of the past, and even those who are here today. Imagine those who pray every single 5 daily prayer with that in mind. You know, sometimes we question why the people, our predecessors, had all this success. Success in personal gain and success in worldly gain, success as an ummah. All of them had that, majority of them had the idea that every single prayer has an impact on them, like that one prayer did on us at Ramadan. Or like that one time went for Hajj or went for Umrah had that impact on us. They were constantly in that position. If we are in a position, for example, where we are struggling to get time off to come for Jummah, you would realize that when you tell somebody that this is final, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants me to be at His house. He wants to receive the record on the Day of Judgment where the angel has written down my name that I came to the Friday prayer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants His servants to come back to Him. And He says, come back to me and I will give you. Allah is just waiting for us. If we have that in our mind and we tell our bosses or our managers that we need to leave and there's no two ways about it, we may be losing something in this world, but we're gaining something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you look at some of the stories of the Sahaba, you look at some of the stories of the Prophets, if you don't know the end of the story, you might feel like it's a story of failure. It's struggle after struggle, and struggle after struggle. You hear the stories of the first martyrs of Islam. All they had to do is say, even if they didn't believe it, all they had to say is that we don't believe, and the people who were torturing them would have stopped. But they had the understanding that every value they have is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't hold in the value within themselves. And they stayed steadfast, and look at them now. If you look at them now, if you were to ask them, would they change anything? The way that they died, if you learn the stories of the way that they died, you would kind of feel like you want to cry. They did that sacrifice for us, and with the understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He holds everything that they have. You ask them today, would you change anything? They would say, we'll go back and do it multiple times. Because they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown them physically how much greatness He has in store for them. And that's where the belief in the unseen comes. Believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the hellfire one day, Halim talat. Allah will tell the fire, are you satisfied? Are you full? And the hellfire will speak back to Allah and say, Hal min mazid. Is there any more? And this should be a warning to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that there's so much capacity in there. Don't feel like you are exempted from hellfire. There's more capacity even when it's full. The hellfire is saying, if there's more, bring me more. And all of these, when we think about these verses, when we think about the warnings of the Prophet ﷺ and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are to take us out of that delusion and for us to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds everything that we have in this world. And that everything we want in this world is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. The Prophet ﷺ will sometimes stand on the minbar and he will just read Surah Qaf. He will just recite Surah Qaf. And Surah Qaf is telling the people, this is a reminder that the Day of Judgment is coming. Take away the delusion of this world and realize that everything you are doing, it should be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should be for the longing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is a balance. There's a balance in ibadah and a balance in this world as well. I want to give the example of once the Prophet ﷺ, he was walking by and he saw Umar radiallahu anhu reciting Quran very, very loudly. And then he saw Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu reciting Quran very, very softly. So he asked Umar radiallahu anhu, why are you reciting Quran very, very loudly? And he said, because I want to scare away the shayateen. And I want the kuffar to hear it as well. And then he asked Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, why are you reciting Quran so softly? He said, because the person who needs to hear it can hear even my soft voice. And where is the balance here? The Prophet ﷺ went to Abu Bakr and he said, raise your voice a little bit. And then he went to Umar radiallahu anhu and he said, lower your voice a little bit. And the indication here, I'm giving this example, there's many, many examples that I could give that might be more apparent of balance. But I want to give this example because both of them had the intention of good. Both of them had the intention of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both of them had a love for the Quran and a love for what they were reciting. But yet the Prophet ﷺ went out of his way to tell them to find a place in between. And that is our position in everything in our life. From when we are doing our ibadah and praying, to when we are working. When we have our intentions that we are doing for our family, they are beautiful intentions, but what is a higher intention than that? You're doing it for your family to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you're giving away charity, you're doing it to purify your money and to purify your sins. But what you're doing for a higher purpose to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single thing you are doing, you need to go to the higher position of intention and sincerity for you to realize that you are not in a position where you are doing this out of your own doing. And you are doing this because you are amazing. You are doing this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the ability to do so. You are doing this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you in a certain way. Imagine how blessed we are, where there's people who have billions and billions of dollars and pounds, and before they die they give a lot of money away for charity, with the precursor that they put their name on the charity. With the precursor that they create a statue saying that this person did such and such. Because for them, their legacy is in that. For us, our legacy is when our children, they make dua for us when they do ibadah. Our legacy is when people mention us in good. And our greatest legacy is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's talking to the angels about us. And He's mentioning us by name, that my such and such slave is doing this, and my such and such slave is doing that. How fortunate are we that we have this knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do that for us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a religion that shows us the path to get to this place. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are constantly connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are protected from shaitan and his whispers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who battle with our nafs and we beat the battle. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who go into Jannah and see Allah multiple times. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah says in Surah Tawbah, فلا تعجبك أموالهم ولا أولادهم إنما يريد الله ليعذبهم بها في الدنيا وتزهق أنفسهم وهم كافرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about people that would come with a lot of money, and people would come with children who have done well for themselves. Until today, I am sure all of you know people that will come to you and tell you that I have done such and such. Or they will tell you that my son and my daughter, they have reached this level or they've done that level. And there will be some people, when you're sitting there listening to them, you yourself will feel awkward for that person. Because you know that that person is telling you because he wants you to praise them. That person is telling you because they want some credit from you. And these certain people used to come to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at one point, he was intimidated by their position. He was intimidated by their money. Not because he wanted their money, but because he understood what everybody else saw of these people. And there are many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has described somebody with good character, when he says that there's something the person is missing. And somebody with bad character or bad image in society. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes that person. But in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that don't be amazed by their money and their children. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy them with it in this world. And one way we get destroyed with it is that we are constantly thinking about it. We are constantly worrying about it. People go into depression over it. That I can't earn to do this and I can't earn to do that. Because in those moments, we keep forgetting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that's in control. We are thinking in that moment that we are in control of our sustenance. We are not doing enough to receive our sustenance. We are not doing enough in terms of worldly things. But if there's something that you are missing, is that you are not connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I love the example of Maryam alayhi salam. Because when she gave the statement to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya laytani mittu qabla hadha wa kuntu nasiyan mansiya. When she was in a position where she felt like she lost everything. If we were to describe that as something, we would describe that she was in a state of depression and sadness and difficulty. As soon as she said that, the next verses say that the angel Jibreel told Maryam alayhi salam, La tahzani, that don't worry. And we should have the same understanding. She did have that feeling, but as soon as she was told, La tahzani, that feeling went away. Because she knew now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with her. When she felt like she lost all her honor in society, where all a woman had in that society was honor, she felt like it's all been lost. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cemented it. He says in the Quran explicitly that He has honored her and made her the most honorable woman. And this is the same person that said, Ya laytani mittu qabla hadha wa kuntu nasiyan mansiya. If we are in a state where we're remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're taking ourselves away from the delusions of this world. Just as the people of the cave did, just as the poor person did when the story in the two gardens, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace in our hearts with ease. If we look at the story of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his hardest time was when he and Sahaba in Mecca were in a state of boycott. In those same times, his uncle and his wife passed away. Most difficult times for the Prophet ﷺ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in one go, He reveals the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. And what is the story of Yusuf alayhi salam? It is a dream, then hardship, then hardship, then hardship, then hardship, then hardship. If somebody did not know the end of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, you would think this is a very, very sad story. Somebody's taken away from his family, sold as a slave, being accused, put into prison. All of these hardships, time after time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended the story of Yusuf alayhi salam where he was the wazir, where he told his brothers that you can come in and there will be no harm upon you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving a message to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at that time, that you might be going through the hardest time right now, but don't forget that I have empowered your destiny. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of everything that's happening to you in those moments in time. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a servant of Allah, He already has shown His love for us by giving us the understanding that there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last and final messenger. Allah has already shown us that He loves us. And then He shows us time and time again by giving us things. And then He shows us time and time again by indicating His mercy. But then we forget, and we get deluded, and we get lost in this world, and our blood pressure goes up, and we can't sleep at night. And if we want those things to resolve, yes, you go to the doctors. But you also go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because in His hands is the cure. In His hands is our destiny. And in His hand is what we are working for towards the end of this world. Our soul's existence, the smallest amount of time is in this world. If you look at when our soul was created, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathered all the souls, and He told everybody, who do you believe? And we all said that we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How long ago was that? To how many years are we spending in this world? To how many years will we spend in the grave? To how many years do you spend on the Day of Judgment? To how many years of eternity is Jannah? So our soul spends a very little amount of time here. Yet this little amount of time we get deluded by this world and its riches and its difficulties. And we forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed us here so that when we go back to Him, we inshallah be in a place where Allah is happy to meet us and we are happy to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make us of those. Because then some people will come, as it says in Surah Al-Kahf, فَلَا نُقِيمُ لَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَزْنًا. At the end of the surah, some people will come on the Day of Judgment, where they have come with some good deeds, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn them away. That what are these good deeds? They have no value. No value in terms of sincerity. No value in terms of how much sins you have committed. No value in terms of, I did this because Allah wanted you to do something for me, so therefore I did this for you. It's just like somebody going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, oh Allah, I will leave such and such sin if you do this one thing for me. You are not doing Allah a favor by leaving that sin. Allah is doing you a favor by giving you breath. Allah is giving you a favor by giving you iman. So you are in debt to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how do you repay that is by worshipping and asking Him when you need something. Turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you need something. Going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you are being deluded by this world and somebody reminds you. You take that reminder and be reminded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and put your power in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep on praying until your heart feels content. Spend the entire time until you be in the state of sujood and complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with details. Allah hears everything. If you want to complain that you've stubbed your foot, you can complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah would love that you are talking to Him. Allah wants us to go back to Him time and time again. And our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not the normal relationship of a slave and a master. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes His slaves, those who are sadiqeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Himself to His slaves as Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes His slaves to Him as those who ask Him for forgiveness. Those are the slaves, not the slaves of this world. Those who are afraid of their masters. Those who feel like they are being oppressed by their masters. Those who feel like they won't ever receive anything from their masters. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the understanding of the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the understanding of what is true. Prophet ﷺ's dua was, أَرِنَا الْحَقَّ حَقًّا وَارْزُقْنَا اتِّبَاعَهُ. Oh Allah, give us the understanding of what's true and make us see it as true and give us the ability to follow it as well. اللهم صل انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله اتقوا الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقيموا الصلاة.